You may have seen me in various videos of mine using my planning journal, which looks like this, or my planning or post-it task sheet, which looks like that, which I have behind me, and I have all my tasks on 3 different coloured post-its. This is how I get my writing and my creative projects done. I break the big projects up into smaller tasks and work on them regularly in tiny steps. This process has enabled me to grow my channel on YouTube in order to become monetized. I have been able to create a workbook that I sell through my blog. I created a membership and I set up and I write regularly on my Substack, and I managed to do all of that through breaking the big project into smaller tasks, so it didn't feel overwhelming. It has made my projects less daunting, and it has made me more focused. It has provided momentum and made me more productive, which in turn has made me more confident with my writing and my creativity. I absolutely love it. However, before we look at the planning journal and the post-it task sheet in more detail, we need to take a step back and to look at the projects that I decided to focus on in the first place and how many to do at a time. And I'm saying this because I think many people struggle, myself included, because we concentrate on the projects that we think we should be doing instead of what we want to be doing. And we also think that we can do more in a day or in a week or in a month than what reality dictates. And I think when we take on too many projects, it can leave us completely paralyzed by indecision. We get utterly overwhelmed and we end up feeling more of a failure and have less confidence in ourselves than before we started. And I think we mentally beat ourselves up when this happens, and we see it as further evidence that we aren't cut out for a creative or a writing life. So this is where my journal and a few pieces of A3 paper come into the equation. In my journal, I write about all the work that I would like to do, and I kind of talk about it in a way where I'm having a conversation with myself and I'm working things out, working out if this is something that I really want to do or whether it's something that I think I should be doing. I'm asking myself if I'm approaching it in the right way, and lots of different things like that, because I do have a habit of rushing headfirst into a project without thinking too much about it, and it's often happened in the past, and I find myself a few weeks later having to unpick everything I've done because I've just rushed into it without thinking too much about it. So this approach with my journal just gives me time to weigh up the pros and the cons. So just this week, for example, I've been journaling about my Substack strategy, and I've gone from not knowing what to do or where to go with or how to move forward with the strategy, because I know the one that I had was unsustainable in the longer term, to feeling like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. I've now made a decision of what I'm going to do going forward, and I have a clearer path ahead of me. And that's simply because I've had a conversation with myself in my journal. In fact, I've even written, if you can see, resisting the hustle culture in our Substack writing. I've just picked out things that, you know, was kind of speaking to me, and I think that has enabled me to come up with the plan that I've now got in order to move forward. It really does help writing in your journal. I've just written here, as an aside, I do rejig things all the time. Nothing is ever sort of glued in place. I think you have to have flexibility with this approach. I mean, just in the middle of my post-it task board there, if you saw my video, I think it came out last Sunday, the last video that I did, those post-its were blue, but I've now turned them purple and I've written different things on them. I've got different tasks and I've reduced the tasks significantly. That's my Substack one. So it started out as a conversation with myself in my journal, and the actuality, the reality of it was that I've reduced my task, come up with different tasks as well, and that's taken the pressure off my shoulders, and I have a better idea of how I want to move forward with my Substack. And it all started from my journal, but at the beginning of the month, when I did my reset a week or so ago, it looked completely different, but I've subsequently thought about what I want to do with it because something just didn't feel right. And that's what I mean. You have to have that flexibility to change things if things aren't working the way they currently are. So the projects that I've actually ended up with, and the different post-its there represent different projects. So I've got 3 projects on the go at the moment. These 3 have been specifically chosen because they are in line with my goals. And again, I use my writing journal to figure out what my goals are. But for me, and yours might be completely different, for me, I have 2 main goals. Firstly, I want to be able to contribute to our family's income. And secondly, I want to grow my platform so that I'm more attractive to literary agents and publishers. So this means that the projects I choose have to enable me to earn money in both the short and the long term. So for example, with my book, whilst I'm currently writing it, whilst I'm agentless and publisherless, I know I'm not going to earn any money from that. I'm not going to earn money from it until I'm taken on by a publisher, and then hopefully I will get some sort of advance. But there's a number of things that go along with that. Firstly, there's no guarantee that a publisher is going to take me on, so I may have to go the self-publishing route, and if I go the self-publishing route, then I am going to have to put out some money on the project to start with. So it's even more important that I can earn money with my other projects to enable me to do that. And secondly, even if I was taken on by a publisher and I got an advance, I'm well aware that writing books for a living does not guarantee lots and lots of money. So I know that even if, when, etc., I am published, I'm still going to have other projects going on at the same time in order for me to generate a decent income to contribute to our family's finances. And then we come to the growing the platform bit. I know that to increase my chances of being taken on by an agent and a publisher, I'm writing non-fiction, and I know that they look for a platform. It's an important thing. They need to know that I already attract a certain audience and that I have that knowledge that I'm writing about, and that I talk about that online as well, if that makes sense. For writing fiction, I don't think a platform is as important, but for non-fiction, it's important. So I chose YouTube and Substack because it enables me to both grow a platform and to earn a few pounds at the same time. That was the plan. So I didn't just randomly decide to do YouTube and Substack. It's all incorporated as part of my bigger plan with my book writing and growing my platform and earning money at the same time as I'm writing a book. When I have an idea of what projects that I want to do, I grab some A3 bits of paper and I have a brainstorm. I work out what's involved in each project, what I need to do to set each project up, for example. So with Substack, it's things like deciding on a name for my Substack, creating an about page, creating emails that go out when someone subscribes to your publication, importing my old email list, lots of different things like that, sort of background admin-y type stuff that you need to do to get the project off the ground. So I wrote all those things down on the brainstorm so that I could see exactly what was involved. Now, I don't have any messy examples to show you of when I first did that. I seem to have had a bit of a declutter and got rid of those ones, but I do have a calmer brainstorming sheet to show you, so I will switch to that camera now and show you that. So here we have some examples of my brainstorming. Like I say, it's not the really messy stuff where I've got lines and so on going everywhere. But this is the sort of thing that I do in order to get everything out of my head and extract it onto a piece of paper. After one particularly messy brainstorm, I came up with this. And you can see I've given myself 4 projects here: Substack, events, YouTube, and writing books. And then within Substack, I had some mini projects. So I had my podcast, I had Substack only videos, I had bite-sized courses, the book club, a Tiny Steps productivity group, plus the regular essays. And I've written here on this post-it, this is a great example of how too many projects can lead to massive overwhelm and feeling like I've failed before I've even begun. Because that's exactly what happened. Once I'd written everything down, and this is why I'm such a massive fan of doing this process, because once I'd written everything down like this, I thought, well, I can't tell you what I thought without changing the rating on my YouTube channel, but I was a bit shocked because I thought, how on earth am I going to do all of this? And the thing is, I was coming out of burnout at the time as well, and I gave myself all this work to do, but if I hadn't done this, I would have just started going ahead and doing it, which would probably have sent me straight back to burnout. So I'm really glad I did this process. And what I actually did was I got rid of this project, and I got rid of lots of things like the mini projects within this project as well. So I ended up with 3 simpler projects to focus on. And with my Substack, just in the last few days, I've reduced that down even further. And that's what I mean about it all being in a state of flow. Nothing is fixed. The brainstorm then leads to this, my post-it task sheet. If I stand back a bit, you can see it better. So I got the idea for my post-it task sheet from Sarah Cannon's Kanban board system that she's got on her YouTube. In her system, if I remember rightly, and this was a few years ago, she moves post-its with tasks written on them from the first section to the in progress section that she's got marked out to finally the done section when she's finished with them. And I think Sarah does hers in quarters of the year. But personally, I find 3 months at a time too overwhelming. There's far too many tasks on the sheet, so I do it in months. And as you can see, this is the month of November. And also, I like the ritual of redoing it every month. It sets me up well for the month ahead. It's a kind of motivating thing for me to do. So as you can see, my post-it task sheet is simply an A3 piece of paper, and I've divided it up into 3 columns to represent the different projects that I'm working on. So here we have the book, here we have my Substack, and here we have my YouTube. And like I said earlier, each project has different coloured post-its. I then write down all the individual tasks I need to do to complete each project. Another brainstorming sheet might be useful here. For Substack and YouTube, the subject of each post or video is the task. For my book, I break it down by chapter or section, but what I'm currently doing is breaking a section down even further into each individual bit within that section, because I'm struggling to complete the entire thing. It feels so daunting. So by breaking it down into smaller tasks, the pressure lifts and I can complete them in a quicker time scale, which leads to momentum and motivation. Then after that, I have my planning journal. At the beginning of every week, I start a new double page spread. On the left, where I've got the date here, I write everything I'd like to achieve during the week under the 3 project headings. So again, book, Substack, YouTube. And this is according to the post-its that I've brought over from the post-it planning sheet to my journal. And I know there's a blue colour here. This is the old purple. It's meant to be purple now, so don't get confused. This is a Substack item, that the same as the purple ones. And then on each day, I break this, which is my weekly, down into further detail. And I don't plan each day a week ahead. I do each day of the morning of that day. So today, for example, is Wednesday, and when I have completed one of those tasks, I tick it off. So I've planned my video, I've written the script, and I am currently recording it. So as soon as I've finished recording, I can tick that bit off. And when the whole of the video is complete, how to plan my creative projects, I will tick that off there. And then the post-it, the corresponding post-it, will then move over to the completed tasks section. And these are all the tasks that I have completed so far this month. Again, we have YouTube, Substack, and this is my book. And also on this double page spread, I sometimes, not every time, it depends how my brain is feeling. Sometimes I need to be really visual and to see what is happening on each day. And this week I needed to know when I was uploading. I mean, I'm hoping it's going to be the same every week, but sometimes I just need to work out when I need to prepare in order for that week's upload or publish of my Substack. So that's what that bit does. And like I say, once each task is done, I'll tick it off the list and move it to the completed section of my journal. And I can show you, this is October's completed section. And this is September's completed section. Watching them stack up is very motivating, and it's a reminder that I am getting things done and taking tiny steps every single day. If you'd like further information, my workbook, Journaling Your Goals, is available to purchase on my website, helenredfernwriter.com/books-classes.